Okay, so now we're looking at SAC 2, part 2. So we're looking at question 3. So here we have the equation given. What's happened in this scenario is a child standing at an open window and throws a toy outside so that it lands flat on the ground nearby. The equation is given by this, where y is greater than or equal to 0 and x is greater than or equal to 0. Y is the distance above the ground in meters, and x is the horizontal distance from where the point was the toy was thrown. So if you're looking at it, this is what is happening. That is what's happening to the toy. So the first part A asks, how high above the ground was the toy when it was thrown? So from the window, in other words. So what we're looking for is that y-intercept. If you have a look at the equation, it's just there, it's 2. Shouldn't have circled the x, I meant the 2, okay? It's just that 2, so 2 meters, and that's the answer. If you want to look at it algebraically, you can find that when x equals 0, so initially when the ball hasn't, when the toy hasn't moved horizontally yet, you could sub x equals 0 into the equation and you'll get 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 2, and you get 2 meters. Okay, that's 1 mark there. Then if we move down, you can see I've already got the answer, 4.45, but let's work out how you get that. So what is the horizontal distance between the point where the toy was thrown and the point where it landed on the ground? What is that asking? It's asking for this horizontal distance here. Okay, what is that distance? Another way of looking at it is it's asking for that x-intercept there. You can do that 2 ways on your CAS. You can either go add calculator. This is probably the way I would do it. You're finding the x-intercept, so that's when y equals 0. So we just tap solve 0. So when y equals 0, we want to find the x value. So x-intercept when y equals 0, 4x plus 2, comma x. Gives us 2 answers. This negative one would correspond to, on the graph on this other side, it'd be coming down on this side here, on the left-hand side of the y-axis. But that's not valid because x is greater than or equal to 0, y is greater than or equal to 0. So we're looking at the point that I've got where I've got the arrow, which we go back to here, would be square root of 6 plus 2. If you put that, you get it wrong only because at the start of the question it says correct to 2 decimal places, if you have a look. So square root of 6 plus 2, that's, as a decimal, is 4.45. You can also do it using a graph. So if we go to, just go to a graph, we type in the equation. So you only do it one way, don't do it both ways. Minus x squared plus 4x. And this is not a bad way of doing it too because you need the graph later on. You can see the whole graph there. You may need to change your window if you can't see the whole thing. So the graph is only valid for this part here, up until here. We're looking at this x-intercept. How do we find an x-intercept? Menu, analyze graph, 0. Lower bounds means left side of the x-intercept. Upper bound means right side of the x-intercept. Same number, 4.45. So x equals 4.45. Find the maximum height. Again, I've put the answer, but let's see how we get that. Maximum height means we're looking at the turning point. So let's go back to here. Let's find the turning point. You do need the graph. So if you have skipped the previous part and you're wanting to do this part, make sure you graph it first using your CAS. You can go back to the previous question to see how I did that. We go to menu, analyze graph to find a turning point, and we've got a maximum type of turning point. So we go maximum. Lower bound means left side of the turning point, you click there. Upper bound means right side of the turning point, you click there. And it gives you the coordinate 2, 6. But that's not the answer because the question asks you for what is the maximum height. So we are looking at the y value in this case. So 6 is the y value, that's the height, so that's why we write down 6. D, what is the horizontal distance of the toy from the point where it was thrown when the maximum height was reached. That's asking for the x value. So of the turning point, so that's 2 meters. What is the horizontal distance, or the x value, in other words, this is part E, of the toy from the point where it was thrown when it is 5 meters above the ground for the second time? Okay, there's a lot happening there. So let's slow that down. So the horizontal distance, so what is the x value of the toy where it was thrown when it is 5 meters above the ground for the second time? So that's saying the y value. So when y is 5 meters, what is the x value for the second time? That's important. A few ways you can do that. You can graph it on here. You could also graph the line y equals 5 and find the points of intersection, and it's only the second point of intersection you're looking for. A faster way, I would do it using calculate, using the graph. So using solve. So when y equals 5, what is the x value the second time? So that equals the equation. We're trying to find the x value. So plus 4x plus 2, comma x. We get x equals 1 or x equals 3. And it's a second time, so it's x equals 3. That's why my answer was 3 meters. Don't forget units for all of these questions. If you want to look back at the graph, go back to the graph. If we put in y equals 5, which would be up here, cuts it down this way, it would be the second x-intercept, which would be down here. So not the first one, would be the second one, which again would be 3 meters. Okay, so that is question 3 done. The next video, if you want to watch it, will be question 4.